Welcome to another sustainability podcast with me, Toby Webb, and joining me in this podcast is Nigel Stansfield, who is VP and Chief Innovation Officer at Interface. Welcome, Nigel.
Thanks, Toby.
So let's start off by talking about what you do. What does a Chief Innovation Officer do at Interface?
Okay, well, I have the very privileged position within the organisation of being responsible for coordinating and aligning our innovation programmes locally in all our geographic regions, in all our three divisions, into a cohesive plan to meet our strategic objectives globally. And I put the tools around and in place to help accelerate key local initiatives, innovation initiatives and ideas, and accelerate them through a more global platform and then share them and disperse them across the business.
So why is the Chief Innovation Officer here in the Netherlands as opposed to in headquarters?
It's a quirk of fate, I imagine. For many years, our organisation, which runs as three divisions, has been operating with essentially three innovation departments. And I ran the innovation department in the European business, and have done so since 2004. And likewise, we have an innovation group in Americas, an R&D team, and a smaller group in the Asia-Pacific business. A few years ago, we looked at our innovation activities and really questioned whether we were leveraging those activities to their fullest potential and whether we were embracing a more open culture where we were sharing and learning across the organisation. And not unsurprising, and I think this will be echoed in many other businesses, we found that there was actually a lot of cross-organisational competition taking place and duplication. So we decided that we would aggregate and put together a more collaborative approach to innovation. We call it internally co-innovation. And I was asked to lead the co-innovation team. So innovation still takes place habitually through our entire business, but I coordinate it on a global platform and help the really good ideas surface to the top and then get picked off and then supported appropriately so that we can actually realise the potential of them.
So what does your average week look like, if there is an average week?
Very difficult in innovation to have anything average, and frankly, if my week was average, I wouldn't be doing the job that I think I should be doing. I also still have a responsibility within the European business for some other functions as well. So I share my time working within the European leadership team on product design and sustainability teams within the European business. I share my time on that with innovation. But typically, in a typical week, it will be early morning calls with Australia and the Asia Pacific business, or it might be late evening calls with the Americas business, coordinating activities, getting the people who are buried deep in our organisations, particularly in manufacturing, to open up and coordinate and collaborate with each other on activities that they can mutually benefit from. And I have a cross-party remit, so I deal with all different functions at all different levels in all bits of the organisation.
And at what point do you get some sleep?
Spasmodically throughout the day, whenever I have been known occasionally to nod off in boring meetings, and the average meetings, but it's about getting the right balance in this. And one of the beautiful things about working for Interface, one of the things I love about this organisation, is it gives me the flexibility to get that balance. So 4 o'clock in the start morning to do a call is acceptable, but I won't be doing a 9 o'clock in an evening call on the same day.
You just have to manage your time effectively.
Manage your time effectively. And I should say I don't just do this by myself. I have a small team of people who work across doing the same things that help me coordinate, and we also are developing information technology tools, IT tools that help us facilitate this kind of operation as well, to connect to a global business of 3,500 people.
So innovation is one of those terms in business which gets used a lot, like leadership, management, I suppose, is another one. But innovation is one of those things that everybody's attracted to, but a lot of people don't always know what it means.
Indeed, and it's a kind of a tagline that's strapped onto many, many things within organisations. I always look at innovation from this perspective. You cannot really call anything an innovation until a customer values it and pays you for it. Up until that point, an innovation is really an idea that's failed to be commercialised effectively. So if you think about innovation being an idea that fulfills a customer need or a customer insight, or particularly with interface, fulfills a strategic direction that the business needs to go in, for example, our Mission Zero direction. So if the idea fulfills a need or a strategic direction and can be commercialised, then it can become an innovation, a true innovation to us in an organisation.
You guys are starting to do a lot more outreach to other partner companies. How does that affect your role? Are you also out there trying to persuade other partners, suppliers, customers to innovate?
I think we've long been an advocate of working with our supply chain, and our history is riddled with really good examples of where we've influenced our supply chain to change the way they do things on things like, some of the chemicals that they use in the products or used to use, the energy that they use for manufacture, and in particular for recycled content. And we pioneered the whole idea of introducing high recycled content into products many, many years ago, and have substantially influenced the supply chain to the point that one of our global major suppliers and partners, called Aquafil, who supply one of our yarn raw materials, has invested tens of millions in a recycling plant in Slovenia. So I think we've long been advocates of working with our supply chain. We've also, though, in various different guises, worked externally with organisations. And what the co-innovation approach has done, the group that I lead, is we've kind of institutionalised that, and we've made the business think more openly about innovation and be more transparent in the way we innovate. So we are now throwing challenges outside of the organisation. We throw open innovation challenges out to certain organisations. We are institutionalising the way we work with universities to give them key challenges. And we're also using people like technology scouts to go out and find technological solutions for us that, so the idea of being invented here, is kind of, we're trying to remove that from the organisation. And I know that many of the leading organisations who kind of badge innovation as one of their key drivers for success have moved away from only invented internally to, proudly invented externally was one of the more famous phrases. And that kind of philosophy in the business is taking its time to get in there, but we're seeing a more open approach, an open architecture around our innovation now.
Does that have its limits, though? I'm thinking, of your competitors. You must have some difficult decisions to make about what you can share and what you want to share to drive the agenda forward, and what is effectively a bit of competitive advantage that you wouldn't want your nearest competitor to get hold of for a couple of years until you've commercialised it.
Yeah, absolutely. And the classic way of protecting that is the old intellectual property or patent. And indeed, as an organisation, we do have a fairly robust IP and patent process. But we also, we tend to innovate outside of our immediate circle of competition. So, and if we're innovating in a space like, for example, universities or technology scouts, as opposed to a truly open innovation search, then we will put some protection around the ideas that we generate. But also, and if you think about the philosophy of interface, we as an organisation, if we were sustainable tomorrow, 100% sustainable and achieve Mission Zero, we would have a small impact on the planet, frankly speaking. And so what we want to be is a demonstrator. We want to be a catalyst to prove to industrial business that it's possible. So you can't keep all the secrets and do that. You have to be open and transparent, which is why we do talk a lot in external forums about what we do and how we've done that and what we have achieved.
In terms of practical examples of innovation in the last 5 years or so, Could you point to a few for us just to give us a sense of what it looks like in action?
Yeah, and there's a plethora of examples I could use in this, but the ones that really jump to mind are the ones that have made significant steps for us as an organisation. So, modular flooring as a category has rapidly grown over the last, say, 10 years and has started to penetrate new market segments. One of the big innovations that we did in that space was to embrace the design principles of from nature, and where we use biomimicry to influence the way that we design flooring. And we developed a whole new category of flooring in doing that. A random installation method that cut waste down, removed obsolescence in the factory, removed the need for attic stock, allowed customers to mix batches of products. All of those things, made a substantial difference and made a significant step change in the industry, and one that a lot of our competitors have now resulted to follow. I talked earlier about the example of driving recycled content into our organisation, which we did, and we started in the 1990s. But with our supplier, Aquafil, that I referred to earlier, we've been able to introduce 100% recycled content yarn into the marketplace. And again, our competitors are now following that, and that has substantially reduced our environmental impact. We've pioneered green energy, green electricity, within our factories, and we're doing an extensive programme on biogas and other forms of energy local that's available locally where our factories are, to reduce our footprint. We've also done some more what I would call radical innovations outside necessarily of our existing space of manufacturing carpet tiles. So we did a very disruptive innovation in installation methodology when we introduced tactile, which is a method for installing carpet tiles without using glue that is very, very simple and easy to install and leaves the floor clean when you remove the carpet tile. So that was a very disruptive innovation. And what that complemented was the innovation we have around our take-back and re-entry programme. And re-entry is our disassembly process for taking carpet tile and indeed other soft floor coverings back from the marketplace and disassembling them into their component parts for recycling. Again, we pioneered that in 1995, and over the years we've built on that programme to be able to develop the technology to break that up. And then I think probably a really more radical one within our business has been our social innovation, and we've been trying and pioneering integrating social sustainability into our products since about 2004. So in 2004, in the European business, we sat down and we thought about our products speak very environmentally, from an environmental sustainability perspective. They speak quite loudly. I've talked about all the things that you can see in our products, but they don't speak very socially. So we pioneered a programme of developing a sustainable livelihoods business model to integrate it into our product portfolio so that we had a product to speak socially. And it's taken us really 9 years to bring a product to market that actually has been able to be commercialised. And the Networks programme that underpins our first product launch using that yarn, which is NetFX, is a social programme that we've developed in the Philippines, working with NGOs, the Zoological Society of London and coastal fishing communities to develop saving village loan association schemes, the banking schemes within these poor communities, in coastal communities, as a method for taking back fishing nets and then selling them into our supply chain to become a supplier to our supplier, so our supplier can recycle those fishing nets into yarn that we can use in our products. And I think that to actually consider a carpet tile company is investing time and effort into developing a supply chain in the Philippines to supply our supplier is quite radical for our industry, and I would imagine quite radical for many other industries as well.
Nigel, thank you very much for your time.
You're very, very welcome.